Okay, vielen Dank für Ihre Teilnahme heute. Heute ist unsere dritte Sitzung des Tocharische Kurses. Ähm, Wir haben eigentlich für die äh, ersten zwei Sitzungen einen Überblick über die wichtige Literatur, wichtige tocharische Texte, Ausgaben und auch über die tocharische, nicht, ich habe Vedisch gesagt, ich war, das war mein letzter Kurs. Ja, jetzt ist Tocharisch. Wir haben für die ersten zwei Sitzungen über die wichtige Literatur und wichtige tocharische Textausgaben gesprochen und auch einen Überblick über die torarische Literatur. Ja, das ist eigentlich hauptsächlich buddhistische Literatur. Und viele davon sind eigentlich Übersetzungen aus der Sanskrit-Quelle oder aus der indischen Quelle. Ja? Weil das ist eigentlich nicht immer aus Sanskrit. Manche vielleicht unter der Einfluss von Mitterindisch, zum Beispiel Gandhari. Ja. Okay. Und dann einige oder viele davon sind eigentlich die tocharische eigene Erfindungen. Ähm, Das heißt, sie schreiben natürlich auch originale Texte, ja, nicht nur Übersetzungen, ja, sondern auch originale tocharische Texte. Und sie sind, ich meine, äh, innerhalb der buddhistischen Literatur, ja. Und die andere nicht religiöse Literatur, zum Beispiel Dramen und auch sogar Gedichte, Liebesgedichte, ja. Äh, und auch Berichte oder Rekorde, ja, die sind eigentlich die tocharische gehört zu der eigenen Literatur. Das ist keine Übersetzung. Okay. Und dann heute werden wir allmählich mit der toharischen Sprache anfangen. Das heißt, wir lernen die Grammatik und dann auch, wir lernen zuerst die Grammatik und dann auch Lektüre. Ja. Das ist immer so. Das ist bei meinem anderen Kurs auch so. Wir lernen ein bisschen Grammatik und dann lesen wir tocharische Texte. Und dieses Semester werden wir uns eigentlich mit der osttocharische Texte beschäftigen, nämlich der sogenannte Punyavanta Jataka. Ja, okay. Das ist unsere Hauptaufgabe dieses Semester. Ja. So actually for the reading part, we're going to study the East Tocharian texts, and one of the most important one, it is called Punavanta Jataka. Yeah. And I think a lot of you, or most of you, are familiar, at least with Sanskrit, and some of you with Buddhist texts. So I think you would understand the meaning of these words. Yeah. So Jataka is Jataka. Yeah. Jataka is the legend, stories about how to say that, earlier births of Buddha. Okay, and Punyavanta comes from the word punya. Okay, punya means virtues, yeah, virtue, and vanta is a suffix meaning having. Yeah, so having punya. Okay, and then yeah, so this is actually our focus this semester. And then for the grammatic, ja, und dann zur Grammatik machen wir zuerst ein bisschen Wiederholung, weil letztes Semester, wir haben damals die Grammatik von Westtocharisch gelernt. Die Kasusendung, Nominal, Deklination und auch Verbalmorphologie. Ja. Und dieses Semester, wie gesagt, werden wir Osttocharisch Texte lesen. Deswegen können wir zuerst ein bisschen Wiederholung von Westtocharisch Grammatik und dann vergleichen wir die beiden Sprachen. Ja. Das ist manchmal sehr ähnlich. Okay? Ja. So for the grammatic, we're going to first repeat some grammatic points of the West Tocharian. Yeah, this is actually what we have done last semester. So we will compare the two languages because a lot of grammatical points are similar. Okay, so we will see. Yeah. Okay, dann fangen wir an mit der Grammatik. Okay, und dann für die Grammatik benutzen wir eigentlich zwei Handout, was ich früher euch geschickt habe. Das heißt, tocharische Normen für die Nominaldeklination. Und das ist eigentlich nicht nur für Nomina, es gibt auch ausführliche Erklärungen für Pronomen und auch für sehr viele Paradigma. Das ist eigentlich sehr wichtig, ja. Okay. Und auch, ja, das ist Pronomen, ja. Okay. Und das ist Adjektiva, okay. Das ist Adjektiv, ja. Okay. Und dann zweites ist der Handout für das Verben, tocharisches Verben. Das ist von Herr Hackstein gemacht, okay. Und es gibt 5 Kategorien, Verbalendung, Verbalwurzeln, Verbalstämme und Stammbildung und Paradigmen, okay. Und ich finde diese Stammbildung sehr wichtig. Wir müssen dies genauer anschauen. Das ist, ja, Moment. So. Okay, komisch. Moment. Ich sollte eigentlich eine Bookmark herstellen. Ja. Moment, ich zeige euch. Ja, das ist, was ich meine. Ja, das ist diese Tabelle. Ja, das ist eine Zusammenfassung. Ja, gibt es das? Das ist dieser Verbalstamm. Ja, okay. Das ist hier. Ja. Ja, wir werden heute genauer erklären. Und zuerst Nomina und dann Verben. Okay. So actually for the grammar, we're going to use 2 handouts made by Professor Hackstein. One is for the Tocharian nouns, but it is not only for nouns, but also it contains also explanation for adjectives, for pronouns, and for numbers, and so on. Okay, and then the second one about the Tocharian verbs. So there are actually 5 categories, and we're going to first study this one. This one, Verbalstämme. Okay. Yeah, about the verbal stems. Yeah. So yeah. And then we will start with Tocharian nouns. Yeah. So since this is already German, so I just translate a little bit and explain a little bit. Yeah. So in Tocharian, just like the traditional old Indo-European languages, there are actually 3 categories, 3 grammatical categories for the genus, for the gender. Yeah. Okay. So 3 genders: masculine, feminine, and neuter. Yeah. But in Tocharian, there's something interesting and tricky that we actually find in the grammar. For the nouns, yeah, actually 2 categories. Yeah. namely masculine and feminine, feminine. And besides this feminine, and we actually have these two genders for the nouns and adjectives. Yeah, but for the pronouns, we have three. Yeah, so for pronouns we actually have three. Yeah. For nouns we have masculine, feminine, and for pronouns we have masculine and neuter. Yeah. Okay, but for the nouns there's a very special case. Under the category of masculine, there's a category called alternants. Yeah, it's alternants. So what is the meaning of what is meaning of alternants? So the nouns with alternants gender. So alternants means changing. Yeah, so means alternate. Yeah, alternating. Yeah. So nouns with alternating gender means that in singular it is masculine, but in plural it is feminine. Yeah. So singular masculine, but plural it is feminine. Yeah. So this is really interesting. Yeah. So what does this mean? It means that they go back to the neuter. Yeah, because actually the neuter of the Indo-European. So actually the feminine. Yeah. The feminine is at the very beginning a collective nouns, yeah, and we all actually only have, for example, in Hittite, we don't have a common gender. Well, in Hittite, for example, in Hittite, we have a common gender and feminine, yeah, okay, and, sorry, common gender and neuter, sorry, yeah. We do not distinguish between masculine and feminine. And then how can we get a feminine? A feminine is actually a collective of the neuters. Yeah. So you use a specific ending. It is actually H2 for the neuter plural. Yeah. For the plural, you have an ending H2, and this H2 develops into the feminine case forms, and so on. Yeah. So this special so-called alternating gender actually reflects the older stage of the neuter. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you can see. Well, I have to make it precise. So not only well, to be specific, it's actually the demonstrative pronouns. Yeah. So not I and you. So this is personal pronouns. In personal pronouns, we actually have we will have no gender. Yeah, with one exception. Yeah, but we will talk about later. So what I mean by three genders for pronouns is actually demonstrative pronouns. Okay. And then. Okay, yeah. So this is basically the important information about gender. And then about the number. The Tocharische knows actually three numbers, singular, dual, and plural. While you have in the grammar also another terminology, another term like the par, yeah, a pair, like you have a par, yeah. But par is actually just you can take it as a dual, yeah. Okay, pair, yeah. Sometimes you have a pair number referring specifically to the body parts or something really come with two, yeah. Okay. And then we should also remember that in the case system of the Tocharische language, we actually have two kinds of cases or two categories. The first one is actually, so it is just like this. So the Tocharian case system is actually two parts. So the first part is primary ending, and the second part is the secondary ending. Okay, and the primary ending, the primary cases are actually from the Proto-Indo-European. Okay, but the secondary cases are actually the inner-Tocharian developments. So sie sind innertocharisch entstanden. Ja, okay. Und die werden durch Agglutination von Kasus-Suffix gebildet. So it's kind of like a agglutinating, yeah, okay, agglutinating language, like the Turkic language. Well, you put a specific suffix to a certain form, and in Tocharian it's actually the accusative form. So you put a specific suffix to the accusative form, and then you get a secondary cases. Okay, and what are the secondary cases? We can check it here. So this is actually the cases, about the cases. So primary cases, we have nominative, vocative, accusative, or oblique. Sometimes it is called oblique, but it is, we can also we traditionally call it as accusative. So accusative and genitive. Yeah. So these four, or sometimes you can say that nominative is equal vocative. Yeah. So these three or four are the primary cases. Okay. And then we have the secondary cases. So what are they? They are appellative, comminative, allative, ablative, and locative. So here probably, and then we have for East Tocharian, there's a special case called instrumental. And for the West Tocharian, we have another special case called causalis. Okay. So here probably we need some explanation for the specific cases. So for the appellative, well, it means actually to carry through. Okay, it comes from the Latin word per latus. Yeah, so carry through. So it expresses the meaning through something. Yeah, or and through in English can sometimes also mean with something, according to something, or yeah, with the help of something, through something, right? Okay, so it sometimes has a meaning of instrumental. Okay, so this is also why if we check the parallel texts, actually the Tocharian in the Tocharian translation of the Sanskrit passages, we will see that Sanskrit instrumental is sometimes translated by a Tocharian appellative. Okay. Okay, and then commutative means something getting together. So something being together. So together with, yeah. And then allative means toward. You towards something. So you go towards something, and then you will need a allative. Ablative means away from. So it's like the Sanskrit ablative. And then locative is locative. Yeah, it specifies the location. Okay, and instrumental, as I said, is a special case form only in Austro-Tocharian. It means instrumental, just like the Sanskrit meaning. And then causalis is quite rare. So this is actually only for specific words. Yeah. It's not a productive one. It means the reason, yeah, causalis. Yeah. So misams kawan means aus Gier nach Fleisch. So kawa is Gier and misans is flesh, is meat. Okay. Okay, so here is actually the form of the specific cases. So we first check the these cases which are shared by Tocharische A and Tocharische B. So penaltive, we have R in Tocharische A, but we have Sa in Tocharische B. And commutative, we have Asher, and in Tocharische B is Umpa. And allative is Ach, and Tocharische B is Shich. Yeah. And the ablative is Ush in R, and in B is Men. Yeah. And locative is sorry, yeah. And in B it's Ne, okay. And then for the instrumental in Tocharische A it's Your, and the causalis is Near, yeah. Okay, probably I need to emphasize something for some of you. Probably if you haven't learned any Tocharische before, it's just for some understanding. Yeah. So in Tocharische, we have this sign, okay? In Tocharische, we have this sign. And in Sanskrit, we also have this sign. So they also look actually the same on the manuscripts. So you will put a dot above the syllable, yeah, above the akshara, yeah. But they're different. In Tocharische, the pronunciation is actually N, but in Sanskrit, the pronunciation is actually M, yeah, but M at the end, okay, or M between, or M before consonant and so on. So they are basically different, okay. So M, or I should write it like this. So comes from M, but in Tocharische, the same sign has different origin. It is actually N at the beginning. The origin is actually N. Yeah. Okay. So this is basically the difference. Und dann schauen wir ein paar Beispiele. Okay. So das ist eigentlich die berühmte Wörter. Heißt Yahweh in Tocharisch B und Yuk in Tocharisch A. Das ist die indogermanische Pferdwort. Das ist Pferd, ja. In B heißt Yahweh, und in A heißt Yuk. Okay? I know they look quite different, but they actually belong together. Okay, dann schauen wir mal zusammen. Okay, so this is famous Tocharische, the famous Indo-European word for horse. Yeah? It's actually horse. Yeah? In B, it's called Yahweh, and in A, it's called Yuk. Well, they look a little bit different, or probably very different, if you, yeah, but they are actually related. So let's take a look of the forms. Dann zuerst Nominativ. Nominativ heißt Yahweh und Akkusativ heißt Yahweh auch. Ja? Normalerweise in Tocharisch, die ursprüngliche Nominativ und Obliquus werden nicht mehr unterschieden. Ja? Und falls unterschieden, das ist eigentlich spätere Entwicklung, in der Tocharisch Entwicklung. So actually in the Tocharische language, you always find the same form for nominative and accusative. And in fact, the original Indo-European nominative and accusative forms are indeed, will indeed become the same. Yeah. But if you have some different forms, it probably reflects, I mean, at least for this stem, for the A stem, for A stem, but not for the stem or other stems. Yeah, I mean for the A stem, they are really undistinguishable because of the special sound change in Tocharische. Yeah, so actually in Tocharische, so we know that from the Proto-Indo-European, the nominative singular look like this, right? Yeah. So this is the Proto-Indo-European form. Okay, and then Proto-Indo-European for Om, it is accusative singular, right? And actually in Tocharian, the auslautende Konsonante, so the last consonant, so the final consonant, are dropped. So the final consonants in Tocharian are dropped. I mean, the final consonant from PIE to Tocharian, they are dropped. Yeah. Okay, so this is the reason why all nominative and accusative must look the same, because they just drop the ending and you can't tell the difference, right? You only have the semantic vowel. Yeah. So this is the reason why they look similar. But sometimes you will find the different forms, because this is due to the inner Tocharian development. Okay. Und dann Genitiv. Und Genitiv heißt Jequenze. Das ist unterschiedlich mit einer NC-Endung. Okay. Und dann kommt Pellativ. Und wie gesagt, wie kann man die Sekundärkasus bilden? Das heißt, ein bestimmtes Suffix mit bestimmtes Suffix zu Obliquus. Ja, zu Akkusativ. Deswegen hier wird grau markiert. Okay, so actually, how can you get the secondary case forms? So you just use the specific case endings, and then you put the case endings after the accusative forms. So this is also the reason why the accusative was marked gray. Yeah. Okay. So this is actually the how do you say that? The building stone, the building block, yeah, building stone for other cases. Yeah. And then, for example, und dann zum Beispiel Yahweh Sa ist der Appellativ und Yahweh-Pa ist der Kommutativ und Yahweh-Ch ist Allativ. Ja? Und das heißt, dieser Ch in Klammer steht, bedeutet, dass manchmal finden wir eine Ch, aber manchmal einfach eine Sch. Ja. Okay. Ja, das heißt, es gibt auch in der Tocharische Entwicklung, laut Entwicklung, weil bei Tocharisch eigentlich ungefähr 500 Jahre die tocharische Sprache haben eigentlich ungefähr mindestens, was wir bewahrt, was wir entdeckt haben, die Texte, wie kann man sagen, die Sprachreste aus der Turfan-Gebiet umfasst eigentlich einen Zeitraum von ungefähr 500 Jahren. Yeah. So this means that sometimes you have sh and sometimes you have sh. Yeah. And the longer form sh is older. Yeah. The reason for the different forms is that actually from the text fragment discovered in the Turfan area, we indeed have a long period, about 500 years. So during 500 years, there have certainly been some changes and some developments of the language. Yeah. So just like, I mean, in every corner of the world, I mean, Chinese after 500 years, Italians 500 years, French 500 years, it will be really different. It will be there must be some differences, right? Okay. Und dann Ablativ heißt Yahweh-Men, okay. Und dann Lokativ heißt Yahweh-Ne, okay. Und Kausale, was sehr selten ist, heißt Yahwen, ja, Yahwen, ja. Das ist eine palatale Sache. Okay. Und dann Plural. Plural heißt Yahweh und Yahwen und Yahwenzi. Ja. Und dann schauen wir hier. Und Pellativ heißt Yahwenza. Ja. Und warum hier haben wir eine Sa, haben hier eine Za. Das ist eine Lautentwicklung in Tocharisch. Das ist eine Lautentwicklung in Tocharisch. Das heißt, ursprünglich haben wir eine Ins, right? Ja? Haben wir ursprünglich ein Inza und dann zwischen N und Z kommt eine, würde eine Denta eingeschoben. Ja? Das ist eine Lautentwicklung in Tocharisch. Ja? In Tocharisch, das finden wir auch bei den anderen Fällen. Ja? Okay. Das ist eigentlich so. Diese T würde eingeschoben. Okay. Ja, ich glaube, diese Entscheidungen finden wir auch in anderer Sprache. Okay, und dann schauen Sie hier die andere, bei der anderen, das ist immer gleich. Okay, mpa, sch, mem, ne, nye. Okay, und der Unterschied ist nur dieser Stamm. Ja, und dieser Stamm im Plural heißt yak wen mit einem Nasar n, ja, aber in Singular, das ist eine yakwe. Ja, okay, das ist der einzige Unterschied. Okay, deswegen nennt man, das ist quasi wie eine agglutinierende Sprache. Ja. Okay. Okay, so actually for the plural, you can see they use the same suffixes for the plural and the singular form. The difference is only the stem. The stem is different. For the plural, the stem is when with a nasal, with a dental nasal. This is actually a dental nasal. So for the nasal, we have actually several different versions, right? For the nasals, we have the normal, simple nasal. The simple nasal is actually the dental nasal. So the dental nasal. And then you also have the velar nasal, yeah, right? Velar nasal, it's written like this in Sanskrit, right? And then you also have a palatal nasal, right? You write it like this. And you also have a retroflex nasal, right? Yeah. Okay, so they are actually different nasals. Yeah? You also have a retroflex. Retroflex nasal. Yeah. You write it like this one. Yeah. Okay. And then you also have a labial. Labial nasal. Labial nasal is actually M. Yeah. So basically for the Sanskrit and for the Tocharian languages, these are actually the most important nasals. Yeah, and here is actually a dental nasal. I have explained earlier. It's actually from a dental nasal. Okay. Yes. And then let's move on to the Tocharian A. Da schauen wir zusammen die unterschiedlichen Formen in Osttocharisch. Und Nominativ, Akkusativ sind eben gleich, juk, und Genitiv heißt jukes. Ja? Und dann von Akkusativ juk können wir die Sekundärkasus bilden. Ja? Appellativ heißt Yuka und Kombinativ heißt Yukasche und Allativ heißt Yukatsch und Ablativ heißt Yukasch und Lokativ heißt Yukam und dann Instrumentar heißt Yukyu. Ja, Yukyu. Okay, das ist immer so mit Sekundär-Kasus Endungen, ja, und zur Obliquus, zur Akkusativ. Now let's check the East Tocharian forms. So for the singular, we can see nominative is the same as accusative yuk, and then genitive called yukes, okay? And then the appellative is yuka and yukat and so on. So actually you find the secondary endings directly after the accusative form. So it's pretty simple. And then und dann die Pluralformen yukan, yukas and yukashi Yukasiu, Yukasher, Yukasach, Yukasa, Yukasasher, Yukasach, Yukasesh, Yukasam. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so it's basically the same logic that for the primary endings, primary forms, primary case forms, or primary cases, they are different. Yeah. And then for the secondary cases, you just put the secondary endings after the accusative. But this time, the accusative plural. Okay. Accusative plural for accusative secondary cases. Okay, so this is the logic. And then we can actually compare a little bit. So now we can talk a little bit about the historical grammar. I think today is quite enough for us to just analyze this set of forms. Yeah, the horse. So for the horse, in A is called Yuk, and B is Yakwe, right? And how can we understand this? And so, what is the Proto-Indo-European form of the horse word? So actually, PIE. So for the PIE horse, yeah. How can we reconstruct the original form? So for this, we can of course check the grammar. Not the grammar, the dictionary. Sorry, we can check the dictionary by Meyerhofer. Yeah. So we check the etymological dictionary by Meyerhofer. And I think you all know the dictionary, right? So Manfred Meyerhofer, Etymologisches Wörterbuch des Alt-Indo-Arischen. Yeah. So this is actually one of the most important etymological dictionary. Yeah. And actually for the Sanskrit, it's actually the most important. Okay. And then let's check this word, Ashva. Okay, so in Sanskrit it's called Ashva. Okay, so in Sanskrit, it's called Ashva, right? And then in Greek, we actually have the word called hippus. Where is it? It's not written here, right? Hippos, yeah. Actually, in Greek, it's called hippos. Yeah. So in Greek, it's called hippos. Yeah. And then for Latin is called equus, right? Okay. Equus. So based on these forms, we can actually reconstruct the Proto-Indo-European form. So for the Proto-Indo-European form, it would be H1, like this. Okay, and then we have this form. Yeah, so this is actually the, sorry, no, this one. So this is actually the reconstructed form of the horse word. It's called, sorry. Okay, so here is very important. The ke is actually a palata ke because we have in Sanskrit a sh. Yeah, so a sh goes back to Indo-European kya. Okay, and how can we know that it is a, and then this wa corresponds to a wa, yeah, in Proto-Indo-European. Okay, so and then this word is actually so ash or ashu. If we just recall the Sanskrit word for swift, also for fast, it's actually Sanskrit ashu, right? So Sanskrit, so Sanskrit ashu, yeah. So Sanskrit ashu means fast, right? So actually they are cognate, horse, and quick. And in Greek it's called okus, yeah. In Greek it's called okus. Oku, yeah. So swift, okus, yeah. Yeah, okus, yeah. So it means fast, yeah, oku, yeah. Yeah, they are actually cognate, and horse, quick, fast, yeah. They have the same origin. So actually, horse originally means something with quickness, yeah. Something runs quickly, yeah, something like this, yeah. Okay, and then let's come back to the Tocharian forms. So actually, we have the original one, yeah. The original form should be like this, yeah. Hikwas, yeah. And then from this one, we have the Tocharian forms. So how can we analyze this? So this or, so again, I copy this. Oh, wait a minute. So I copy this. I copy this. This is PIE, right? So this is, sorry, this is PIE, and then this is Tocharian, right? This is Tocharian. So how can we explain this? As I said, this S gets lost anyway into Tocharian. So I copy this here. So the development should be like this. So, so first, the H1A keeps the same. So we have the A, yeah. So H1 does not reflect, does not change the color of the laryngeal. It's not, sorry, does not change, the H1 does not change the vowel. Okay, so H1A is A, okay? And then in Tocharian, the final S is anyway dropped, yeah? We cannot tell the difference between nominative and accusative because the final consonant is dropped. Okay, and then we have the O, okay? And this is actually the W sound, so W is like the W, and K becomes, and K becomes a K in Tocharian, yeah. So I summarize this. There are several important developments, yeah. So the final consonants, dropped, right? Final consonant dropped, okay? The first one. And then the second one, well, this is not actually the change, but I just changed the writing method. So I just write it differently. So this is actually the same as this one. This is not actually a change, but you should know that they are just two, they are the same thing. Yeah, they're the same, they're actually the same thing. I just write it differently. Okay, and then the third one is that the kya turns a k. Yeah, okay. So actually the kya turns into, so the kya turns into a k. So this is actually the symbol, or this is a marker, or the, how to say that? This is actually the characteristics of the Canton language. Yeah. Yeah, so this is actually, how to say that? It's a Kennzeichen. Yeah, this is actually the marker of, or it's a representative. It's actually the typical sound change of Canton language. Okay, and then the third one, what happened is the air becomes a y, in Tocharische. Okay, so air becomes a y in Tocharische. And then what happened later, and this b, so here is accentuated, yeah, so it is stressed, yeah, so a stressed so if we have a and it is stressed, it is written as a in Tocharische b, yeah, but it keeps the same in Tocharische a. There's no change like this, but then. And then we talk about other things. Stage 4 is the or turns into a TB. So PIE or becomes TBA. So this is actually a very important sound change in Tocharische. And then the last one, not really the last one, this is a parallel development. If we have a final consonant, it will get lost in Tocharische A. Yeah. So in Tocharische A, except the E or U vowel or some, or I think I should write it like this. So or was dropped. So this or was actually dropped in Tocharische A. So we have nothing here. Yeah, we actually have nothing here. Okay, and then. Based on all these changes, we know that the B form should be yakue, right? I can demonstrate a little bit. So I demonstrate again. So we have, of course, at the very beginning. So I describe a little again for the B form. So this is what we have. So first, H1A, H1 does not change the vowel. So H1A is A, okay? And then the final consonant, the final consonants are dropped. So we don't have this S, okay? And then, so I change the writing of this U with a semicircle under it. So change the writing to a W, and then the K turns into a K. And this is a typical Canton language sound change. And then this A at the beginning becomes a Y. This is a typical sound change in Tocharische, Y. And if the Y was accentuated, this is a Tocharische B accents rule. Yeah, if we have two syllables, the first syllable is stressed. So this is a West Tocharische accent rule, stress rules. So if the was accentuated, stressed, it is right. It is written as ya. And then the next stage is that the O turns into a in Tocharische B. Yeah. So this is what we, how we get this yakue. And then for the yuk, so how can we get the yuk? So it's the same like here. So the first step is the same. So the a, so H1 a becomes a because H1 does not change it, and then the final stop. The final stops are dropped, okay? And then I change the writing of to a W, right? And then the K becomes a K. And then the A at the beginning becomes a Y, sound. And the final consonant was actually dropped, okay? The final consonant was dropped. And then we actually have Y-K, yeah? And Y-K, and then comes, how do you say that? It's either because of it's this was influenced by the w here, so then it will become the yuk. So the w changes the into a u. Yeah. So it's it's just influenced by the W sound, and it becomes the yuk sound. So this is basically the sound change of this one. Yeah. Probably it's a little bit complicated, but for your understanding, you should memorize these 4 character. So the 4 typical sound changes in Tocharian. So the final consonants are really dropped, and then the palata to vela. So the palata to simple vela. Okay. So the palata vela to vela. Okay. Palata vela to simple vela. Okay. So this is sorry, palata. So the palata vela to simple vela. So this is typical for the Canton languages. Yeah, and then this e becomes a y. Okay, and if it is stressed, it is written as a. And if r was stressed, it is written as long A into carrying B. Okay. And the final one, the O becomes an A into carrying B. And if the O stays at the end, it turns into 0 into carrying A. Otherwise, if the O, stays in the middle, so this means in the middle turns into a R into carrying A. Yeah. So this is actually the most important sound changes you have to keep in mind. Okay, and then let's come back to the case forms. So I just want to highlight the difference or the similarities. Yeah. So actually, for the appellative, we can argue that the R is actually connected with this sa, because you can see that the sa contains actually an S and R, and this S can actually come from the original case ending, yeah, case ending of the accusative, yeah, it could be, yeah. So this sa is actually a secondary interpretation of a form with the final S in accusative. Okay, so these two are actually cognate, the R and sa, and the linguistics or Indo-European linguistics or Indo-European linguists have also has had a further theory that these appellative case forms, that the Tocharian appellative R or R actually goes back to the Proto-Indo-European special case called allative. Yeah. But this allative is different from the allative here. So this is the Proto-Indo-European allative. Okay, so this is actually kind of some theory. And then this ach und sch are probably also related. Okay, but this one, ablative, are completely different. And the locative are actually also related. So I can explain a little bit. So this is actually the A form, right? And this is the B form called yakwene, right? Okay, so remember, there's a special case, there's a special sound change in Tocharian A, that the final consonant, the final vowel is actually dropped. I mean, not every, but for R and E and O, it is sometimes dropped, or always dropped. So for this one, if the original ending is ne, and if you drop it, drop the e, and you will get an n, right? This n is exactly reflected here. So actually, for the locative, these two have the same origin. Yeah. So they can go back to a null form. Yeah. So actually, they go back to a case like to a suffix like a null, right? Because Tocharische ba goes back to a Indo-European o. So they probably go back to a suffix like a null. Okay, and this null turns into ne in B, but becomes an N in Tocharische A. So this is basically related. Okay, and so far, I think probably that's enough for the nominal. Yeah. Okay. And then I'm not sure if we should read, or we can probably read some text. It's probably better. Yeah. Okay. So for the reading, for the reading, we will use this one. I will show you the text here. Yeah. Okay. So this is actually comes from. Wait a minute. Okay. Show you. So if you go to this page, if you go to the comprehensive edition of the Tocharische manuscripts, yeah. If you go to this website, yeah. If you go to this website and you click manuscripts, okay, das ist eine sehr wichtige Seite für die Tocharische Studium. Ja, heißt the Comprehensive Edition of Tocharische Manuscripts. Ja, und klicken Sie zuerst die Manuscripts, dann finden Sie A1 hier. Ja, dann klicken wir A1. Ja, ja. Das ist eigentlich Nummer 1 in der Tocharische Sprachreste ja. Okay. Und diese Textausgabe finden Sie hier. Okay, ich zeige euch. Ja. Das ist die Textausgaben. Okay. Heißt der Tocharische Sprachrest, was wir, ich glaube, an der ersten Kurs schon besprochen haben. Ja. Okay. Und das ist eine wichtige Einleitung. Und wir haben damals genauer gelesen. Ja. Und hier, das ist dieser Punyavanta Jataka. Und dann können wir zusammen lesen. Das heißt, diese Stücke weisen sämtlich denselben charakteristische Schriftduktus auf. So actually, so I can translate a little bit. So actually, these pieces, they show all together the same characteristic script ductus. So the handwriting is actually the same. Okay, and then they can be considered. They have been regarded as the rest of the same manuscript. Yeah? Okay. And then the finding spot of this manuscript is so-called Stadthöhle in Shorthook. And I guess you still remember where Shorthook is. So Shorthook is actually between Turfan and Kucha, or Kizir. Yeah. Okay. And the first 25 folios, and they are almost complete. So you can check the images here. Yeah. So this is actually what we are going to read this semester. You can see the folios are actually almost complete, but why they are so? I mean, look quite different from the normal photos, right? Because we actually don't have the original fragments because they are lost, they are burned probably, they were destroyed during the World War, the Second World War. Okay, and then we only have a how to say that, a photocopy of the fragment at that time. So so they published the text edition along with a facsimile, photocopy of the manuscript photos. Yeah. So this is what we have today. So you can see this is almost complete, and this is already the edge. Yeah, so there's no missing syllables to the left. And probably on the right, there's probably two, yeah, at least two, or no, sorry, not at least, at most two, yeah. And sometimes it's probably only one syllable, right? Probably here, yeah. And then you have a string hole here, yeah. And you sometimes you would see a page number on the left, yeah. Okay. So this is basically the photo, yeah. And then, well, yeah, here is kind of some introduction to the photos. So the paper is a little bit zerbröckelt, ja, so dass bei allen Blättern kleinere, bei einigen auch größere Beschädigungen eintreten sind. Yeah, so the paper is actually so that's due to the how to say that, Feuchtigkeit, yeah, it's a little bit wet, some water, yeah, so it's a little bit destroyed, yeah, okay. Oh, here is actually the original size of the photos. So it's about 24 centimeters long and 13 centimeters wide. Yeah. Okay. So pretty big photos, right? Okay. Okay, und dann kommt die Erklärung. Ja, das heißt, ein Titel, ja, das heißt, ein Titel, das sicher mehrere hundert Blätter umfassend Werke ist nicht erhalten. So actually, we actually have a huge work, a very how to say that? It contains actually several hundred pages, and it's certainly a very big work, yeah, a big piece of work. But the title of the whole work is not known, ja. Nach der vorliegenden Reste gehört es jedenfalls zur Literaturklasse des Avadana. So according to the remaining rest, it must belong to the category called Avadana. So Avadana is actually just like Jataka. So we call it as a Jataka. So Jataka, here, sorry, where is it? Oh, probably here. So we call it a Jataka, and Avadana is actually the similar category. It contains the legends of the Buddha in his previous verses and so on. Okay. And so on. And then this is what we are going to read. It is attested on page 1 to 25. Ja. Enthalten nämlich Nummer 1 bis 17 fast das ganze Punyavanta Jataka. So from number 1 to 17, we have the whole Punyavanta Jataka. And for this Jataka, we actually have the parallel texts in Mahavastu and also in Bhadra Karpa Avadana, and also in Chinese texts. Okay, so what is actually the content of the Avadana? or Jataka, it means it contains actually the stories or several stories about 5 princes. So these 5 princes, they actually prize their own virtues. So während dort jeder der 5 Prinzen seine in einer Strophe gepriesene Tugend durch eine Tat als die vorzüglichste zu erweisen sucht, was ausführlich erzählt wird, läuft die Erzählung in unserer Tocharische Rezension etwa folgendes. Okay, so we have 5 characters, we have 5 persons. The first person is called Rupavan. They are all Sanskrit names. The second one is called Viryavan, and third is Sherpavan, and then Pragyavan, and then Punyavan. Okay, so Rupavan is famous for his rupa, so famous for his beautiful form, beautiful body, beautiful face, and so on. And then the second one is called Viryavan. So Virya is Sanskrit word for, so I'll put it here. So these are 4. So now let's come to the lecture reading part. So we have 5 persons. So there are 5 princesses, right? And then they have names, right? So what is the name? So the first one is called Rupavan. The second one is called Viryavan. And the third one is called Shirpa. Shirpa. And then okay. So the most important one comes at the end. Okay. So rupa comes from the Sanskrit word called rupa, means form, or actually beautiful form. So actually beautiful form. And then comes virya. Okay. Virya comes manliness. So the strength, something like this. Okay. And then Shirpa means actually skill. Okay. And then Pragya. And then means wisdom, right? Or knowledge. Yeah. Let's say that's knowledge. So basically wisdom. And then Punya. Punya is actually virtue. So this is actually this is actually the most important. Yeah. So I think I should put a oh, not this one. It's heart. So I think we should put a well. It's okay. I just want to put this one. Yeah. So this one is actually the most important. Yeah. So Punya. So Punya is actually the most important one here. Punya. Okay. And then, so everyone praises his own. Yeah, so he is actually the VIP. Yeah, yes, he is actually the VIP, and he is actually the Buddha. Yeah. Well, if you read the Jataka stories, you will always find the ending at the. You will always find the typical ending while the Buddha explains. Someone is Ananda, someone is Modgalyayana, and someone is Shariputra, and I am the person. Yeah, I am the animal. I am the king. I'm the prince, and so on. Yeah, so this is a typical ending of the Jataka, all Avadana. So here it's actually the Buddha. Yeah. So Punyavan is actually the Buddha. Okay. But our texts begins with the words of Viryavan. Yeah. So actually, we don't have the beginning of the story. So we actually we lost the beginning. So it's actually broken. Yeah. Okay. And then the story of Viryavan, the story told by the Viryavan is the Bodhisattva. There's a Bodhisattva. His name is Sarvatasita. Yeah, and so he just want to. So Virya. So he want to demonstrate his strength, right? So he tells a story about the Bodhisattva called Sarvata Sita. Sarvata Sita. And so what did the Sarvata? So what did the Bodhisattva accomplished? Yeah. So what did the Bodhisattva accomplish? So he überwindet Vermögen seine Stärke an der Gefahr des Ozeans und enthält von den Königen Sagara den Chintamani. So actually, he was out with a ship, and he first he discovered a lot of treasures, jewelries with his group. Okay, and then after this, he want to visit the Naga king, so the dragon. I don't think Naga should be translated as the dragon, because dragon. Well, dragon is kind of a Western concept, right? So the dragon in Chinese is different from the dragon in the Western stories, right? You know, we probably know that. Yeah, if you read some paintings, right? Yeah, so it's actually the Naga king. And the Naga king lives in the ocean in his palace, okay? And then the Bodhisattva, just after after a lot of dangers and some adventures, and he met the king, and he obtained the treasure, the magical treasure, the magical jewel called Chintamani. So Chintamani is also a Sanskrit word, right? If you read Sanskrit, you certainly know the meaning. So Chintamani is from Chinta and Mani. So Chinta means wish. So kind of wish, Wunschperle. Auf Deutsch sagt man Wunschperle, yeah. So with this pearl, with this jewelry, with this jewel, you can accomplish anything you want. So this is the Chintamani. So this is what we are going to read. Okay, and then the Sherpa one tells a story about the Mechanica, or the, how to say that, the Mechanica and Maler. Yeah. So tells about the story about the painter. So for Shilpavan, so he tells the story of the Mechanica and the painter. Okay. So the Mechanica is very good at his skills. So he built a mechanic girl, yeah, or you can call it a robot girl. Yeah. He just built a robot girl, and to serve the painter. Yeah, but the painter did not know that it is a mechanic. It's not a. It's a machine. It's a mechanic or machine girl. So the painter did not know that it is. It's not a real girl. It's a machine girl. So he touched the girl, and the girl just collapsed into pieces of woods. And then the painter felt ashamed, yeah, he felt humiliated, and then he drew a painting of himself, yeah, on the wall, and the mechaniker came to visit him the next day and saw his painting and took it as the real person. Yeah. So this is kind of a story about how to say that, the superiority of the skills. Yeah. And then we have other stories, and we can read the stories later. Yeah. So probably now we just check the Tocharische texts. Yeah. So I put the text here. So this is from the sorry. So this is from the text edition. I just copy the text here, so you can just read it here. Yeah. Okay. The first syllable is actually su, and we can how to say that, amend it, so we can actually complete it as kasu. Yeah. And then another word, myom and clue, tsa sishi shuk kalmentuan. So first I probably read it. So here we have verses, okay, and the padas. So probably I should explain a little bit about the verses. So we have wait a minute. Yes, we have verses, and it contains actually 4 padas. Yeah. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually 4 padas. And this one also contains 4 padas, but we only have the last 3 padas, right? Okay. And each pada are really separated by these 2 dots. Okay. By these 2 dots, and on the manuscript it's also written as 2 dots, so you can check it here. So this is the manuscript, so you can see it is actually the 2 dots here. Okay, this is the 2 dots. Okay, this is the 2 dots here. Yes. Okay, and then we have specific. Sorry. We actually have a specific meter for the verses, and the meter is different from the Sanskrit meter, because nowadays now we believe that the length of the syllables are not important. Important is only the number of syllables each line or each pada. Okay, and for this one we have I don't know if so actually the meter is actually 4 times 14. So each line there are 14 syllables. Yeah, and the 14 syllables can be divided. So you can see this is the information about the meter. 4 times 14. Yeah. So each line will have 14 syllables, right? And it can be divided into 2 parts. So first part 7, second part 7. So 14. The meter. So the meter is actually 4 times 14. Okay, and the 14 can be divided as 14 can be divided as 7. 7. Yeah. Okay, and inside the 7, it can be further divided into 4, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So 4, 3. So this 7 can be further divided into 4, 3. This is 4. This is 4, 3. So this is basically the structure of the verses. Okay. Now we can. So I read a little bit, and then probably I explain a little bit. Okay. So kasu nyom klu tsasishi shuk Kulmentwan, Sutkate, Yuk Inyamune, Nampoto, Tsasuneya, Pkush Karpnar, Yuknar Imaruk, Yus Lunchus, Kupnar, Imaruk Yatdune. So this is actually the first verse, okay? And then we can translate a little bit. So kasu, so we have a very good translation here. So you can check the translation yes. So here is the translation, yeah? You can find the translation in this book so this translation was made by Emil Zick, called Übersetzung aus der Tocharische Band 1, okay? It's published in 1944. Probably Zick had finished his translation earlier, but due to the World War, it cannot be published earlier. Yeah, okay. So this is the translation. So in the translation, there's a very short introduction about the translation. Yeah. So with the help of the Tocharian grammar of Zick and Schurzer, and so on and so on. So actually this is a translation here, okay? And of course you can also check the English translation here, okay? So English translation is actually the translation from the German translation by Zick. So if Zick make a mistake, you will also really find the mistake in the English version. So we can probably first read the English. So it reads like, the good reputation of the energetic ones spreads to all corners of the world. With energy, one will receive honor, appreciation, ovation, I don't understand this word, and adulation from everyone. And one will soon overcome the enemies and soon attain prosperities. So this is the first verse, okay? And then let's read and explain a little bit. So here is the German translation. Der gute Ruf der energischen verbreitet sich in der 10-Wörter-Gegend. Yeah, okay, so Kasu is actually, Kasu means good. Yeah, gut. Und Nyomklu bedeutet, okay, Kasu bedeutet gut und Nyomklu bedeutet Nam. Nyom is name and Klu is actually rumor or fame, yeah, Ruhm, yeah. So Name und Ruhm, yeah, okay. Und Zwarsishi bedeutet die Starke, die Kräftige, ja, okay. Und Schök, 10. Und Kermentoire ist eigentlich Lokativ Plural von Kermen. Und Kermen bedeutet Richtung oder Weltgegend, ja. Und 10, das heißt 10 Weltgegend, ja. Schök, Kermentoire. Und Südkarte bedeutet verbreiten, ja, verbreiten sich. Und das ist dritte Person Singular, Medium. Ja. Okay. Südkarte, deswegen verbreitet sich. Okay. Das ist eigentlich der erste Satz. Wir werden vielleicht vielleicht nächste Woche weiter erklären. Ja. Okay. Okay, das ist alles für heute und vielen Dank für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit bis jetzt. Ja. Okay, thank you very much for your attention until now, and we will see each other next time. Okay. So have a good week and have a good evening. Yeah, it's already very late. Ja, bleiben Sie auch gesund. Ja, okay. Ja, okay. Dann auf Wiedersehen. Ja, und wir sehen uns nächste Woche. Okay. sehr gerne und bleiben Sie gesund. Bleiben Sie bitte gesund. Das ist das Wichtigste. Ja. Okay, dann Wiedersehen. Ja, okay. Wiedersehen.